So I have a super garbage man. Let me tell you about this guy. All right. So I live out in the country, middle of nowhere, as you might imagine, and there is city trash service, but I have a gravel driveway, and dragging that dumpster down to the end is just not going to happen. It would be awful. Like it would be physically hard. Like it would be a chore to get that thing down there. It'd take half an hour. So I had trash service for a while, but I was just not getting it done. The trash was piling up, and I'd have to haul it off myself. So I had to hunt down a super garbage man. I needed a guy who would drive to my house once a week, all the way down my driveway, come to my door, and take the trash that's piled up there and take it away from me for a fee. And I was looking high and low for this, and it was going to be expensive. There was one service that would actually give me sort of a miniature dumpster that was like the size of this couch maybe, and I was going to be like $2,000 to start things off, and then we go monthly from there. It was absurd. It was like, what is this shit? I just want my trash gone. How do I make this happen? And I found it. This guy is like his own personal trash service. Basically, he's like, hey, you want somebody to come get your trash? All right, then.
Wow. That's
$20. I was like, well, how much, man? How much? And in my head, I'm like, name your fucking price, bro. It's like I feel like a slutty girl, like, you know, with no ride home. I'm like, I could maybe, you know, and I'll do anything he wants. He has me at his mercy. He says, $20 will do it, and I'm like, a week? And I'm completely serious. He goes, of course not a week. A month, you know, a month. I just come. He goes, I'm just gonna come once a week, you know, just once a week. And I'm like, is there an option for daily trash service? Shit. So he actually does. He comes all the way to down the driveway. He gets the thing and takes it away. And the thing about it is, I've had this issue where this neighborhood dog has been coming up and ripping these bags of trash apart.
Kill the dog.
And there will be maggots and rotted meat and just the grossest, trash that you can imagine. It's refuse.
Yeah.
Everything's covered in coffee grounds and like raw chicken juice, etc. So it's nasty.
Lovely smell.
And I'm looking at this awful mess, and I'm like, shit, I gotta clean this up. This is the thing I hate doing in the world the most. Is cleaning up gross stuff. Like this is below me, quite frankly. Like I don't, look. I didn't just say that like it's below me to do my own dry cleaning. It's below me to clean rotten meat up out of my yard.
Sadly, that's directly my level at my house.
And I think you guys have a low opinion of yourselves if any of you don't think that you're above cleaning up rotten meat out of your yard. You all are. All of us in this call are, So, but I had to, right? I was like, tomorrow afternoon, I'm gonna go to my dad's house and get like a hay fork or something, and I'm gonna get this thing done. The garbage man shows up at like 6 a.m. when he's not supposed to, a day early. He cleans it up for me, bags it all up, and I mean every bit. I mean, there wasn't like a tampon wrapper or like the gross, like some dirty like dog shitted toilet paper. Like he got every scrap, every little bit of like filth he could find. My yard looked cleaner than before this whole thing
It's like
started.
twigs and leaves cleaned up.
Yeah, he's done that twice now. And it's not that I leave this mess to him. I would never do that. I felt shitty about it, and I tipped him. I gave him $40 last time he came around. I felt shitty about it, but he shows up like a day early when the dog happens to rip it. It's like he knows. It's like he's coming by checking on my garbage in his off time, and he found that there was
He can sense it. He can sense it. Oh,
He's a Jedi.
You've got someone doing recon.
and he's the best. And
Hal needs me right now.
yeah,
I'm gonna get my boy and drive up there. Something's wrong right now.
And he's just the nicest, sweetest guy I've ever met. But that dog ripped my trash apart for the third fucking time. This time, Kitty actually cleaned it up. So now the dog's got to go. The dog's got to go.
Yes.
I'm hunting the dog at this point. Now I'm done. Now I'm a dog. I am a dog hunter now. There's no question over what's going to happen to the dog. I've already decided. I'm just waiting on him to come back.
How did you find this garbage guy?
I honestly don't remember. I think maybe my dad like recommended him, or like he's a friend of a friend, or something like that. To be completely honest, and I only say this because I'm positive he'll never listen to this. He's a bit slow-witted. Not that you'd ever notice unless you had like a long, in-depth conversation with the man. Then you kind of pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I recently came to the realization that he thinks that I'm some sort of a crackpot inventor, and that's what I do for a living. Because he thinks I'm like Doc from Back to the
Future.
He thinks I'm an inventor. He thinks that I'm coming up with all this crazy gadgets, and that's how I bought this house and these cars and all this stuff. And let me tell you why. Because when you come to my house, like I've got gadgets sitting around. I have these this personal like tank vehicle. It's called a
Shredder.
Shredder. It's a shredder like DPV or something. And basically, you stand on a skateboard, and it's got a gasoline engine. You've got a throttle that's connected to the base by a stand, and it's got 2 rubberized tank treads. It's a ridiculous toy. It's just like a silly man toy. The thing's very expensive. So he sees all these toys, and he sees I've got these big ballistic gel torsos outside and stuff, and he asks me about them occasionally, and I'll tell him, I'm like, oh, well, this is ballistics gel. This, it replicates human flesh, and when I shoot it, I can determine what a bullet would actually do to human flesh. It's good for people who want to buy defense ammunition. Oh, okay. And there's like piles of spray paint cans because I shoot those a lot. He thinks that I'm an inventor, and here's how I know. Because when I paid him last time, I gave him the extra $20 or whatever, and I apologized profusely for him cleaning up my mess twice for me, and I'm like, well, see you later. And he's like, you know what you need. I got an idea for you. Now you just get right on this. If you want to or don't, I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing. I'm just come to me. So keep in mind he brings his grandson with him on these trash pickups to like show his grandson like what working is like, and that there's a hard side of life. And he has in the past said, you need to be like this man right here. Use your mind. You don't want to work with somebody like me. Because he's jacked. His arms are bigger than yours from doing the trash thing. And I commented on it, and he's like, he tells his grandson, don't listen to him none. You don't want big arms, you want a big brain. He goes on about this. So he's telling me, I got this idea. You're going to love it. So last night we was over at the house, and little Daniel, he's got that R2-D2, beep, 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 and that thing's running around there. He loves it, and I started thinking, they ain't got nothing that goes and like flies for a minute and then lands back down. That'd be a good toy. Now, if you could make that R2-D2 toy where it'd go and kind of hover a little bit and then land, you got you $1 million right there. I literally went.
Blow his mind next week.
I literally was so embarrassed for both of us that I went, that's a good idea. Turned around and left. I'm pretty sure that if you had to ask him right now what he thinks I'm doing, well, he's probably working on that R2-D2. He seemed excited. I'm telling you, I told him. Tore it off right then. He's out there.
You should just bring him in one day, show him episodes of Mythbusters, and be like, you see that show? I build all the props for that show. I'm in the background of every shot. Those are my gadgets.
No, you should have.
Millionaire.
He thinks I'm Bill Nye the Science Guy or something like.
You're Elon Musk to him. That's what you are. Building your rockets and shit.
Nice. After he gave you that idea, you should have gone, great Scott!
You gotta show up with a drone next week. You just gotta. I made it.
Yeah, in my head, I was like, this guy's never seen a drone. I was like, I should go buy one of those $100 drones at the fucking flea market and just blow his mind.
You can freak him out.
Oh man, there's a lot of people like that. They live in their own little communities and they're not really aware of the outside world so much because they don't have internet and maybe they don't even watch TV. And this guy's one of them. He's a really interesting character.
It all works out.
Hey, what's the restroom policy at the
Checkmate.
construction site? Are they allowed to use any of your restrooms?
Wait, say that again?
What's the bathroom policy for all of the construction crew at your place?
I don't have a policy set, but I'll tell you what. The bathrooms are running out of toilet paper, so someone is dropping deuces in there, and they're going to stop soon because we haven't been
Why waste the paper when there's a bidet right there?
The
Jamal?
bidet is not attached. It's been removed for painting.
I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. Now, you get all bent out of shape when somebody cuts a structural beam, drills a hole in the wrong spot, doesn't have a level, but you're letting these filthy motherfuckers shit in your house?
I feel like that's unavoidable. Like that's
No,
You got a porta potty. You bring a porta potty. It's a construction site.
Porta potty, yeah.
They're renovating your house.
My dad had a rule. Like, there was this guy that used to work with us named J.D. Hancock. He was very unseemly looking individual, okay? all of this man's teeth were rotted out of his head, like worse than you know who. Like, they were missing. This guy would get a hot dog for lunch. We often went to a hot dog stand for lunch, during our lunch break when working with my dad. And we would all get hot dogs. He'd get his in a bowl so he could cut it up with a spoon because he couldn't chew it. Very disgusting, alcoholic, kind of almost hobo type man. He knows he's not supposed to shit in my dad's house. My dad's told him he's not allowed to shit in my dad's house. One day, he's cutting the grass, and Dad's not there. Mom's there. And he knocks on the door. Says, hey, could I use the bathroom? And she says, of course, use Lamar's. And he shit in Lamar's toilet. And he shit on his toilet seat.
Oh, wait, how did he do that? Was he hovering?
That is not the first time I know of him shitting on a toilet seat. There was an old country store not too far away that we used to go for lunch. That's where the hot dogs were. And the lady who owned it, her name was Rebecca, I believe. And she was an older lady in her 50s, very nice lady. She cooked the hot dogs. They were delicious. She had a bathroom in the back. And we were all allowed to use this restroom, but it was sort of you used that restroom the same way you would use a friend's restroom.
Mm-hmm.
If you peed on the toilet seat or on the rim or something like that, you got some toilet paper and you cleaned it up beyond reproach.
Unwritten rule.
JD shit on her toilet seat too, and somehow sat on it and smeared it about a bit. Then he came back out. Keep in mind, in this old country store, there's a big table, lots of chairs sitting around it. We'd all sit around it, eating our hot dogs and talking, and, it's a store, so anything you'd want is right there. It's kind of a cool environment. We're all sitting there hanging out talking. Now, JD wasn't allowed to sit with our group, of course. He had to sit by
He sat with people that shit on themselves.
He sat to the side by the video poker machines, where a spot usually reserved for children. But you didn't want to eat. We didn't want to watch him eat, man. I'm telling you, it was like watching a pig munch on slop. It was very disgusting.
Oh man.
So he gets up. He's I'm gonna walk on back here and use the bathroom. So he goes back there, uses the bathroom, comes back. Nobody thinks anything about it until Rebecca goes back there. I suppose she was also going to use the facilities, and she came out and she let him have it in front of about 14 of us. JD! Yeah.
Like a puppy.
What? Like he didn't know. He just shit on somebody's toilet. He's like, you shit on the toilet, JD. That's what. Now you go back there with that bleach and this scrub brush and these paper towels and you clean that toilet until it's spotless.
Which is appropriate.
You never come in here again.
Because I don't want the hot dog maker to also be the toilet cleaner.
Fair enough.
There should be people shitting on the seats of toilets.
She made this grown ass man go back there and clean his shit, and we were all just like, nobody laughed. It was not a funny time.
No.
Now back to your father though. He fucked with Lamar's toilet. So
I forgot about that.
What happened to this gentleman?
He used his toilet. So Dad didn't hit him, but he cussed him. He did what Dad calls it scolding. He said, it happens every now and then. It used to be a beating when he was a younger guy, but these days it's mostly scoldings, it seems. And you might think of scolding. Well, my mom scolds me all the time when I don't do my homework. Nah. When he yells at you, his lip kind of curls up. And his face gets red. And he starts pointing. and he starts moving around, and you're like, I didn't know he could move that fast. And he's just like, he's getting a little aggressive, like maybe he will do something. And he really tears you down to the bone. He really rips you apart, and he threatens you. He lets you know that, like, unless you apologize at this point, it might get physical.
Dude, this is very much like what happened with my general contractor today. At one point, remember I said I walked up to him, he offered me a chicken leg from KFC, and I offered to punch him in the face. That was my counter offer.
Fair trade.
So he basically just cussed him out and explained to him that he was never allowed to even cut the grass. He's like, that job's over now. You can never cut the grass again. You're gonna have to work over here on the farm and do the other stuff. And so, yeah, he never did hit that guy. That guy was a serious alcoholic though, and it like really. And one day we were changing light bulbs, and he was on up the ladder, hundreds of light bulbs, and JD hits the floor, goes into a seizure. I've never seen that before. I'm like 12. My dad is more afraid of this than I am. He's like, oh, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And we stand there and like looking down at him. He's just like, fucking stroking out. He's seizing up. He shook for maybe 90 seconds, came to, he had a little blood in his lip from biting his mouth a little bit, and like, that was it. After that, Dad fired him. Dad was like, I can't have you over here like with like spinning blades and shit and farm equipment, and at any moment you can drop out. So he hired a new guy. He hired Chuck. Not much of a step up, really. Chuck was my mother's age, 42 or so at the time of our meeting, and yet he looked like he was in his late hobo 50s.
Wow.
There's a difference than,
Yeah.
He was in his hobo 50s. Long, black, shaggy hair, greasy, filthy, pockmarked face. Very, I don't know, just looked like it was gross, like dried up and nasty from years of smoking hand-rolled cigarettes. His fingers were yellow, like just stained yellow from those cigarettes he'd always smoked. He drank Red Dog beer and the cheapest vodka he could buy. His greatest skill was he could calculate the cost of alcohol to a T. If he had $1.02, he knew exactly what it took to get to that bottle of liquor. If he had 13 cents, he knew exactly what it took to get to that tiny bottle of liquor. He always knew. He'd come around. You got 37 cents?
Wow.
I'm like, why don't you just take $5 fucking, man? What the hell? 37 cents? Like that's not even worth my time handing you to you. Like in the store. Yeah. Like it was just absurd, and he always knew. And so I mentioned that my dad never hit JD, never got physical with him ever, even though JD was very bad at his job. He would drinking on the job, passing out drunk, that sort of thing. So Chuck also had a bit of a drinking problem, you might say, and he lived at the end of my dad's farm's driveway in a trailer with another man named Jeff who was crippled from polio. And he was way too young to be crippled from polio, if you know what I mean. It was like, how white trash are you? And they had Jeff's girlfriend, I guess he could still fuck, who was very pregnant. And I remember one day they had seen her trying to like induce labor by sticking a vase up there in the front yard. Classy bunch, okay? Just so you know. So what Chuck's job... Wow. Pretty lower tier kind of job, if you can imagine. It's picking up the dead chickens from my dad's poultry houses every day, because there's 120,000 total. Every day, a percentage just die, and you can't leave them in there. They'll rot, and that causes disease, etc. You're not supposed to. Someone walks the entire perimeter of this thing. It's a 5-mile walk a day, and you pick them up, you take them out. That's Chuck's job. Chuck wasn't doing a good job of this, and so as you can imagine, just like my disgusting garbage, there are rotten chickens in this poultry house, and that's a no-no. It's not good for business. You're not allowed to do that, despite what you see with all the like animal cruelty stuff and those horrible horror scenes you often see from PETA. Like, for the most part, like, those farmers are kept really under control, and like, you can't do that. There's rotten chickens in there though. My dad sees this and he's like, Kyle, go get Chuck, tell him he's gonna have to finish his work. And I'm like, okay. No, excuse me. He said you can either go get Chuck or I can go get him, and you can tell him what he's got to go do. And I'm like, think about it for a minute. I'm like, well, that second one is definitely the more awkward situation type thing. I'm like, well, I'll go get him. So I drive down there. I say, he's drunk as fuck. I'm like, hey Chuck, Dad wants you to come back over to the farm. He's got something he wants to talk to you about. Okay, so I get Chuck, take him back up there. I'm off to the side sitting on a bucket.
How do you
watching
get
this
him?
thing.
You have like
In a truck. I drive.
truck.
I drive a truck down there. It's literally a quarter mile away. Just zip right back.
Okay.
So we're sitting. We're standing there. My dad's standing there. I'm sitting on a bucket, and he tells Chuck. He's like, Chuck, there's rotten chickens there. You're doing a shitty job. You can't do that. You know you can't do that. If you can't do the job right, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. He says you need to get in there. You need to finish your job, or you're not getting paid this week or any more ever. And Chuck said, well, if you don't like the way I did it.
Oh no, he stopped right there.
Stop.
So you froze it. If you don't like the way I did it, carry on.
If you don't like the way I do it, then you could just do it your damn self.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Nothing happened between him saying that and Chucky's on the ground. I'm not sure how he got on the ground. I don't know if it was a push, a punch. He was just on the ground, and Dad was kicking.
Dad was kicking.
These weren't like the bar scene in Goodfellas kicks where you're like stomping the guy's face in and really trying to ruin him for life. Like, he was kicking him in the ass with a big size 13 boot on the other end of like
Steel-toed, probably.
50
That's
pounds
almost
of
more
him.
insulting at that point.
Right in the ass crack every time Chuck would make it to his knees. Bam! And you could hear it. It was audible, and I'm just watching him kick him, and every time he kicks, he adds a little retort. Pow! I don't think you'll like the way I'm going to do it, Chuck. I'm sorry, Lamar. I'm sorry. I go, pow! You going to be sorry by the time I'm done, Chuck? You gonna get in there and clean that shit up? Yeah, Lamar, I'm gonna get in. And he's crawling toward the place where the dead chickens are. He's going after him now. Get in there! Get in there! He kicks him 5-6 times. He kicks his ass until he's like in the building, and like he gets up and goes back to work.
Wow.
It's as close to someone beating a horse into like giddying up as you'll ever get with a human being in this day and age.
Get
It
your
was
ass beat to a monologue.
Chuck was a real character. I have one more Chuck story if you'd like it.
Please.
Oh, you know I do.
Yes.
Please.
All right. So, as I mentioned, Chuck lived near the end of the driveway of the farm in this trailer with his polio-stricken friend Jeff and Jeff's baby mama. They took the county took the baby, so I guess it's still a baby mama though, even though yeah. So he lives down there. Well, eventually, believe it or not, someone like Chuck can even rub themselves raw on someone like Jeff. And Jeff decided he didn't want Chuck around anymore. He kicked him out. So, Chuck's getting paid at the end of it's the end of the day. We're done with work. And Chuck's telling Dad this. And Dad's like, well, you know how it is. And just leaves it at. He's like, it's basically like, every man for himself out here, brother. You're not coming to my place. That sort of thing. And so Dad tells me, he says, take Chuck to the bank, pay him, then take him to, and then if he wants to go to the liquor store, take him there too, and that's what he told him. And I'd done that before. I'd go to the bank, do the business card, get him his cash, pay him, take him home, whatever. So I take Chuck, we get his cash, it's like $80, it was a couple days' work. Take him to the liquor store, and he comes out and he's got. I'm sorry, don't let me fuck this up. So. I drive Chuck down to the end of the driveway, and Chuck says, hang on a minute, I need to get a few things before we go. Could you drop me off at whoever's house that's just down the road? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that after the liquor store. Sure, I'll do that for you, because he's been kicked out, right? So he throws all of his shit in the back of my truck. Trash bags of clothes, trash bags of shoes, and 4 television sets. He had 4 of them. Don't ask me. I didn't ask him. 4 television sets loaded up in the back of my truck. Bank, liquor store. He comes out, brown paper bag, and a ginger ale. And I'm just about to tell him, hey, man, no drinking in the car, right? No drinking in the car. I'll get you to where you're going. But I see that he's just cracking open the ginger ale. So I back up, I'm driving. And he tells me where we're going. It's like 10 minutes away. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for this shit. Like, this is bullshit. All right, fuck, I'll drive you there. So I'm driving there, and I look over. He's got a pint in one hand and the ginger ale in the other, and he's going, glow, glow.
Oh, wow.
He's two-fisting that shit, chasing it down. And there was no point in stopping him at this point. I would rather him have an empty bottle of liquor than a half-full bottle of liquor, so I just shook my fucking head, and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're cracking that shit open here? I'm like 17? Like, this is not going to do it. I'm the one that'll get the fucking open container charge. I get him down to where he's going. It's these, like, pretty crummy apartments, pretty seedy, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't stay there. I wouldn't want to. And, he says, right there's where we're going, man, but I ain't allowed down there. So, how about you drop me off right here, and you go down there, it's apartment 4B, and ask her if Chuck comes stay. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
okay, well, I've come this far, Chuck. Chuck hops out of the fucking car. I drive down there. Knock on the door. It wasn't really a door. It was kind of this metal gatey thing. Kind of a cage, more of a bar door.
Prison,
Blang, blang, blang. This disgusting woman comes out, like 240 pounds. She's wearing like a house dress, I suppose you'd call it. Like,
A nightgown?
yeah, basically like with the buttons, and I can see a little titty like between this button and this button. Like they're like her tits are so big that they're like between this button and this button. There's some titty showing.
Oh, wow.
And it's not good titty. And I'm
It's not good.
All
No,
titty,
he's
good
like-
titty.
like, what?
Same voice, too.
Good afternoon, madam. There's a Chuck Gabriel who sent me calling, and he would like to know if he could come stay here with you forthwith. You tell that son of a bitch he ain't never allowed back down here no more. I'll shoot his ass. You tell him, man. You tell him he comes here, me or Donnie, one, will shoot his ass. Very well. Chuck hops in the fucking truck. Chuck hops in the truck. He goes, how'd it go, man? I was like, I don't think it's going to work out, Chuck. He's like, well, I guess I could go stay at Mama's old place. And I was like, where's that? And it's actually about where we started this whole journey. So I'm driving there.
man.
I assume that he means he's going to go live with his mother. No, his mother's in a nursing home.
Abandoned.
There is an abandoned house with no electricity, no running water, no utilities of any kind. And he is, and to this day, that is where Chuck is. I could take
Oh my
you there.
gosh.
I could take you there right fucking now. He's in there laying in a sleeping bag, asleep, stoned out of his fucking gourd. I got 2 or 3 more of these. One night
Is
he
someone
knocked
playing
over.
the show through a speaker? Like, I swear I hear an echo.
Yeah, someone is a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's coming through on Wolf's End a little bit when I speak up too loud.
Really? Okay, I'll turn
Maybe.
it
A little.
It's not too bad. So one night, like I said, no electricity. He knocked over some sort of oil lantern they had as light and set the whole fucking place on fire. But it didn't burn the place down. It just sort of scorched the room, like everything, all the fat, the curtains, the whatever, the blankets on the floor, all that shit burn up. But there wasn't enough to catch the wood on fire and really burn the place down. So the whole room was just scorched.
Just
So
black.
for months afterward, Chuck was also scorched from the soot. Because he was sleeping in the sooty floor. He looked black. He was filthier than he ever was, and that's saying something.
My father's
This-
room was like that growing up.
Oh.
It was, yeah. Dude, your stories are so much better than like my dad's story. Like my father had an alcoholic working for him, but he felt bad for him, so he sent him to rehab and paid for it until he was rehabilitated.
Boo! Good person. Boo! He should have beat his ass. He should have beat the alcoholism out of him.
Kick him in
what
the
if
ass
that's
until he
just
did
the
more
first world?
1040s.
Besides the Cannon housing projects, Chuck is also banned from going in the local grocery store. His side of the story was that they were giving him old food back in the deli, and when they got caught giving it to him, they lied and said he was stealing it. My side is he was probably just stealing that fucking food. But in any case, Chuck is not allowed back at the grocery store nearest his home. So I see him riding his bike around town all the time. He wears
Wait.
this little war cap.
How did he lose his awesome job, though? Because you
What
didn't
an awesome job.
working for your dad.
Oh, let's see. How did it all end? What was the last straw? Oh, Chuck took my dad's Kawasaki Mule which is, I don't know, $8,000 ATV type thing, and ran into his buddy Jeff's trailer drunk, wrecked it.
Oh, he
It's
wrecked the
like a
mule.
golf cart. It's like a golf cart. He ran into
like
a trailer.
a sturdy golf cart.
The green.
Sturdy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He crashed that fucking thing into a trailer, and it's like all plastic on the front, like a big bumper, and there's a hood that pops up with storage inside, and all that got cracked and fucked up, and that was the last straw. Yeah.
Wow. That's messed up.
Yeah.
That
Man.
sucks.
The guy with polio
Oh.
in this century was more productive than that guy.
One more. Chuck was hospitalized for a gunshot wound.
Self-inflicted.
Chuck's side of the story is
I'm gonna
Chuck's
guess the
side of the
caliber was 22.
close.
38.
380.
I think it was a 22. It was either 22 or a 25. And here's his side of the story. He was sitting on the porch at that abandoned house, which is a good deal off the road, I'd say, 50 yards maybe. And he says someone was driving down the road. He heard a gunshot, and he was hit.
Nah.
Here's-
the luck.
Here's the problem with all that, though. The bullet is in the roof of his mouth.
Wow. That's a
Really?
hell of a drive-by shooting.
I don't know
Oh
if he was.
my God.
Yeah, I don't know. If he
Now,
was
did it
trying
go
to-
through his chin, or was it just the roof?
Yeah, he shot through the palate of his mouth. I think he missed the tongue, and it was stuck in the roof of his mouth.
Suicide or
Natural stuff.
carelessness?
Oh, it's hard to say. It's Chuck. One more. This is the last one, I promise.
You got,
He
dude.
was-
I got time.
You could just be trying to clean your teeth with it.
He was driving his bicycle. Keep in mind, it's like an old like Schwinn bicycle or something. Like it's not a cool one. It's got fenders on it, right? He's driving his bicycle down the road, and he claims that someone came out of nowhere and ran him off the road. He was probably just high and stoned and drunk and crashed, but broke his fucking leg in the ditch on a bicycle wreck. And this is not the kind of guy who can afford to be immobile.
No.
The hospital knew him as a prescription pill abuser, and they wouldn't give him anything for a broken leg.
Oh no!
Oh, wow.
No,
What
good
would they
on
have done
them.
in
Good on
Canada?
them.
I will say this though: anytime my dad gets some like nasty liquor or wine or like that big like someone gives him some booze that he doesn't want, puts it in Chuck's mailbox, it just gets gone. Chuck doesn't. Chuck must think it's the liquor fairy.
Liquor fairy. Don't kill yourself. Here's some more booze.
Oh.
One more, and I swear to God, this is the last one. This is from my dad's point of view. I wasn't there for this one. Dad goes to this abandoned house one time to pick him up for work. He hadn't seen him in a while. He's standing on the porch, kind of knocking on the door, and he hears a voice from inside. And it's not Chuck's voice. He says, "I see you out there, you big old son of a bitch. I got something right here for you. I'm gonna kill you this time." And Dad's like, "I'm creeping away at this point." he's like, and you hear this guy in there, just come on in here. I got something for you right here, big boy. He didn't know it was Dad. Apparently, somebody had been coming down there and just beating him up. like they were some like neighborhood punks because they are right next to like a bad area who just been coming down there and beating them up. And
Wow.
Chuck's buddy's in there with like probably the same pistol that Chuck accidentally shot himself with, like ready to blow somebody away. Dad was like, "So I don't think I'll go down there no more." And I was like, "You sent me last week." He's like, "You take care of yourself."
Wow.
Chuck.
That's amazing.
My goodness.
He might be better than Rickety Cricket.
He's a lot like Rickety Cricket, I swear, a lot like that. I would get him to come. I could totally get him on here. I don't want the man in my house.
You don't
I
want
want
him
him.
No, you don't want to start that.
Yeah, like if you guys could go like some kind of like a remote, like you get him on location with Chuck. Like,
We'll go to a library. They got Wi-Fi there.
You
Take
go
him to a
library.
library.
Wow.
What's that?
Gracious.
Yeah, Chuck. I think that's all the Chuck stories I got, though. Chuck was a cool guy. He's still alive. I don't know why I'm using the past name. He looks dead, but I think he's still around. I see him every now and then, still wearing that Confederate cap and riding that bike. Always got a brown bag of something.
We had a guy in Ocean City. I know him well or anything, but There were a couple crazies, and my favorite was Pluto. Pluto always wore like a banana hammock, you know, that like tight little guy swimsuit that you can wear, and he carried plastic bags full of something, and he rode on like a big beach cruiser type bike. And he was just I don't know, I saw him every day driving around town in his banana hammock with a plastic bag and ride on his beach cruiser. We had another guy, they just called him Sock Man, but apparently he was a nudist. But he got around the nudity laws, this is in Ocean City, New Jersey, by just putting a sock on his junk. And he would literally just have like a tube sock with a ring around the top, walking around the beach, you know, bare-assed, with his junk in a sock.
Hilarious.
Respect.
Lovely thing to
Yeah.
see.
Oh, he wasn't it, you know, it wasn't a body you'd want to look at. But
Unfortunately, you
man.
did not get to add that cock to your mental collection.
Yeah,
If
Woody
only.
was like, this close.
He's like, "Oh, it's slipping! It's slipping!" Oh, grab
The cops are over there
damn it.
hassling the guy, giving him a hard time. Woody's like, let it go!
You see this dusty spot in my mental trophy case?
That's where the sock man's cock goes.
For you. It's all for you.
Oh, that's
Wow.
Chuck sounds like a Greyhound bus kind of guy.
Wolf,
Oh
what
my
did your
God.
dad do?
You want honest truth? Okay, you want to hear some crazy stuff? Speaking of dad, my dad took off when I was 5.
Oh, I forgot you're black. Just kidding.
Oh, man.
That was good. Holy crap. But, no, the crazy thing is, he lives in Guyana, which is South America, and my mom raised 3 boys on her own.
Wait,
So,
is Diana a country?
Guyana,
Oh.
yeah, it is.
Guyana. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
So he left when
and
you were
it's-
5?
When I was 5, and yeah, my mom raised 3 boys on her own, and last Friday I find out that he died.
No way.
Yeah, and they buried him on my birthday on the February 9th.
Jesus.
How crazy
All right,
is it?
so I'm curious about this because something similar happened with my mom. Her dad ran out on her when she was young, and we found out that he was dead, like, you know, when I was a child. How did you feel? Because my mom was like, good riddance.
How did I find out?
No,
How did you feel?
Oh, how did I feel?
Like knowing that he was gone.
It didn't. It was kind of bugged me, but it didn't. It was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a.
Well, I guess I should add on top of it, like my mom's dad was like abusive to my grandmother, so like he was a real scumbag. So they were happy. They were like, oh, he's dead in Dallas, great. We won't be going there. to
I can
visit
go
her."
a step further
Yeah.
with my dad.
My mom's not sad about it. Like she was surprised, but it's like, my mom's like the church lady, right? So and
Yeah.
she's like, I mean, she didn't curse him or anything, but
Your parents, Kyle, found out that he was dead and thought, I guess that's, you know, like no big deal. My parents, my dad and his mom, they found out that my dad was still alive. This is years ago, and they were bummed. They were like, oh
really?
yeah,
Your grandfather, you mean to say?
grandfather.
yeah, this is my grandfather, not my dad. But yeah, they were like, you know, like, fuck, he's still alive, because they were trying to make a Social Security claim, like perhaps when he was dead, they were survivors. I think they never got divorced. He just ran off, and she never got remarried or anything. So they had a right to like Social Security income.
Yeah.
And when they found that he was still alive, they're like, fuck, not dead yet.
Yeah, my mom never remarried either. My mom was
Yeah.
like, it's old school like that, right?
I guess. I'm trying to think. I guess she was Catholic. Maybe that was related to it. She was Irish. She was like literally Irish. She came from Ireland.
My grandmother on my mother's side, she was married twice, and she had 2 daughters by each of her husbands, or she had 1 daughter from each husband, and both of them turned out to be alcoholic, cheating, abusive guys.
Wow.
So after
Were
the
they
second,
Irish too?
they were. No, but you're getting kind of close to where I'm heading with this. My grandmother said that she didn't want any more white men. She was like, I'm done with white men. She found her. So my papa, as I called him, was Honduran. She married a Honduran man, and quite honestly, I think she was just trying to find a man that she could physically intimidate, because Papa's a little guy. Papa's like 5'5", 150 pounds.
Wow.
Hardest working guy I ever met. Worked for years at like a lumber company. They dropped lumber on his finger one time. Took like that much of his finger off. He didn't take the day off. He didn't take the day off. And like it was a place where oftentimes they wouldn't let you retire. They'd fire you when you were getting close to retirement age. But they let him retire, which was like a big shine of like respect apparently around there. But anyway, she was like, no more white men, no more white men. There, that hadn't worked out for me, so she got herself a Honduran.
Found
But
a
I
pretty
always
good man,
thought,
it sounds like.
Yeah.
amazing guy. Yeah, great. I mean, it was the only grandfather I ever knew, because my grandfather on my father's father was an abusive alcoholic bootlegger.
Wow.
So
Jesus.
he was always in jail for the bootlegging, and meanwhile my grandmother's always trying to scrape up enough money, even though they're poor as fuck, to like get him out of jail.
Mhm.
So it was just scumbags
We
and
come
more
from
scumbags.
some pretty trashy genetic stock. Yeah, I had a substitute grandfather too. So my father's father, we covered. He ran off. He beat the wife and whatever. And my mom's dad died. He had cancer when she was in high school. So that grandmother remarried, and he became my Uncle Shirley. And I didn't really catch the whole thing, but he had us call him Uncle because it made him younger. So he wasn't Grandpa Shirley, he was Uncle Shirley. And he was just really cool. Like he was an engineer, he worked for RCA. He had a John Deere riding lawnmower. He used to let me ride it and stuff when I was like totally incompetent to do so. And he was a good guy.
I thought you were gonna say you called him Uncle Shirley,
Shirley
because he was
because-
calling her Bruce Jenner.
Yeah, I thought he was a
I thought we were
transsexual.
leading
I
down
was
that
like,
road.
does what do you have like a transsexual in the family? Have I been making these tranny jokes for years? And is he holding
No.
like some seated hate for me because I'm so anti-tranny, or I'm not even anti? I guess I'm pro-tranny, really. But
No, he was total guy. He was kind of a dad, really. Like he liked grilling, he liked lawn care, he liked, whatever. He's just like a dad type of guy.
good.
No, that's part of the reason why I'm such a dedicated dad, is because I didn't have one. So I guess it kind of works out in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that my dad always said like he kind of spoilt me at times growing up, and he always said he was like, I didn't have anything growing up. No, my Christmases were like an 8-pack of crayons if I was lucky, and like some years there was nothing, and like seeing the fucking holes in the roof and shit. So like if I wanted something, or he, not to extravagance I suppose, but if I wanted a car, a rifle, or something like that, I got it.
Yeah. Stuff works out, brother.
I don't want any fucking kids though. This line is stopping right here. No further. It stops here.
Yeah,
I
a
used
better
to
man
say
than
that.
you have been taken down by childbearing women.
Oh man.
You
The
could show
right
up to your
woman could-
wedding wearing that.
I mean, you got a good 12 years left before I say, yeah, Kyle's decision's probably permanent.
One of my
If it weren't for modern medicine, how would you have died and at what age?
Well, Woody, you'd have. Oh my God, Woody, you'd have died on so many fucking things at this point.
I'm just trying to figure out the
Testicle, drawing
first one.
blood. Like God, where do you start with your extensive history?
That's funny.
Think about it. If it weren't for medicine, how would you have died and at what age? I'm trying to go backwards. At 17, I broke my arm. I think that would have ended me.
Really?
You don't
Was it
think?
like a bad well, it depends what kind of fracture it was or
It
whatever.
wasn't a compound fracture, but it was both bones in this arm. So the whole thing was like flappy, and it had like another wrist or another wrist.
maybe the maester could have just put some boiling wine on it or something, and
A little milk of the poppy.
yeah, a little bit of
compound would
poppy.
definitely probably kill you because it'll start pulling blood there.
What'd you say? The
A
hemorrhoid?
compound, no, a
the
compound
compound
fracture would kill you because it'll start pulling blood.
I think you bleed out, maybe.
Trying to think of like bad things.
Trying to think.
Never had to go to the ER.
2 years before that, there was the testicular torsion. I don't know if that would have killed me, but
Oh my god.
could
Well,
have.
see, if we were with current day, they'd have hacked your balls off to solve the problem, and you would have bled out on the table.
I'd have been a eunuch.
I'm trying to think. I haven't had that many like serious. I've had a lot of concussions, but that's usually just there's nothing to do for that. You just lose a few
Let's think. Well, you've had a
few
lot
points
of,
and move along.
but you've had several illnesses because I've done nothing to go.
Oh,
to
yeah,
the ER.
yeah. 3
Illnesses,
years old,
though.
I had scarlet fever.
Oh, pneumonia.
Scarlet fever.
Wow. What?
Wow.
What? That sounds like some Oregon Trail shit. Where you find the forks in the river. Is that how you got it? You fell in the river. How did you get scarlet fever? Were you in the Amazon? Were you a missionary?
I don't know.
Did you
It's
have
funny.
sex with an African prostitute? Like, what did you do?
My medical history for years, they would ask, like, have you ever had, like, what's wrong with you? What things have you had? And, like, doctors for the decade would be like, ooh, scarlet fever. You didn't really see that one. I don't even know
Not on
what
this
it is,
continent.
really. I had it as a little kid.
Did you have scurvy too? Jesus, Murphy.
That's why Wolf is drinking all that orange juice right there.
Arrgh.
Mine would
Let's
have been
see.
pneumonia. I had really bad pneumonia
Yeah.
when I was a baby.
Well, I almost drowned.
That's not, that's not a medicine thing.
That's not a
is
medicine
it?
thing. You just need some jackass to punch you in the stomach.
Scarlet
Yeah.
fever is a bacterial illness that develops in some people who have strep throat. It's almost always accompanied by sore throat and high fever, common in kids 5 to 15 years old. It was once considered a serious childhood illness, but antibiotic treatments have made it less life-threatening. Yeah, I used to get strep throat shucks. That was part of the reason I missed so much school as a kid. I would get strep throat constantly. We would have, I'd like be at the doctor, and we'd have strep throat tests taken, like just on a whim, and they'd be like, "Yeah, what do you know? Like,
Positive.
like
Did
any
they-
random
yeah.
day,
How
I
about
probably
that?
had strep throat."
Did they have the measles vaccine out when you were a kid?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I feel like that would have been a big one.
But at the time, I think it was long before I was a kid. I think that was existed. I think it came out in like the 40s or something.
Yeah.
But not everybody got it. Like now, it's like
Right.
now everybody gets it. There's a big, I guess, people on Tumblr talk about who doesn't, but
I don't think I would have died. I think I'd still be here, even without medicine.
No,
I might be in the same boat. Knock on wood.
I fractured my ankle one time, but I think if I just stayed off of it, it would have been, they fucked it up at the doctors anyway. I mean, like I won't go into that whole long story, but I didn't get the best medical care to begin with, so I think I would have been better with like some Indian medicine man, like they do the, how they get the smoke going, they got like a smoky piece of like herb, and they're just like, they're blowing the smoke on you, like that would have been better than what this assholes in the hospital did to me. So I think I would still be here.
You never had a bad fever or anything?
Well, I'm sure I've been sick a few times, but I don't think it was ever like life-threatening where like I had to be. It wasn't.
Hospitalized.
Yeah, always.
mine's definitely scarlet fever. I would have died at 2 or 3, something like
Pneumonia. I wouldn't even have made it to 1.
that. Pneumonia.
Really? You had pneumonia
been-
that young?
Yeah, and I was traveling planes before I was 1 too, so I was really
that's never
rolling the
been-
dice.
Yeah.
I've had
Is
pneumonia
that a bad
twice.
thing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't think you should be taking your kids on flights, and I had pneumonia on the flight, so
Our kids, I've always. So Jackie's family lives in New Jersey, and one of their social contract when we moved down here was that Jackie, I would really support her in her drive to maintain a relationship with her family. So yeah, she was flying all the time. She flew when she was pregnant. They put her in first class, and then just kept flying as the
but
kids
that
were
flight
born.
is like what, an hour? 2 hours?
2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, I was.
That's not
I was
too
flying
bad.
from California to Spain, so
Oh my god.
That's a
It's
bigger
a-
flight. Yeah.
like 12 hours of travel
That's a lot of air pressure on a
on a little
unborn baby.
Yeah, where the soft spot is really being affected by the pressure. Yeah.
Well, that's good then. So you've got a passport then.
I've got 2 passports.
Well, that's good. So that way, when we go to Chicago to play paintball, you won't have any issues since you've got your passport.
Oh yeah, no, because we're traveling internationally to the island of Chicago.
Wolfsman of it. We had a friend, and he thought a passport would be required to fly to Chicago, and
Oh my gosh.
and we laughed at him for I don't know, going on 3 years now, I suppose.
Yeah, he should be laughed at on a regular basis for that.
But Kyle, do you want to talk about your first flight and how that went down?
Did I do anything I shouldn't have?
What did
I
you bring
remember-
on the plane?
I remember my first flight was delayed by
It was with
8
Kitty,
hours.
right?
Yeah, it was Kitty. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I didn't fly until I was 25 or something.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
really? Wow.
Kyle didn't
I
fly
have
until he
nowhere
was
to go.
25. Despite having coming from a fairly wealthy family, he didn't really fly around much because I guess the farmers never go anywhere. And
No vacation.
Farmers don't go anywhere.
they don't. They work every day. So his first flight, I guess he was meeting Kitty in Chicago. But because he had never flown before, he was like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I don't know what to do. So Kitty flew to Chicago from Hawaii via Atlanta. Process that.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And then she went and just basically, you know, like, yeah, you see the
Held my
signs on the
hand.
ceiling. This is how it does, etc.
Yeah.
And what's funny is so that you'd think like in a flight he'd get it, but because Kitty was there to guide him, he kind of just didn't pay attention to like how it's done or like,
It wasn't until like maybe like a couple. At this point, I think I've probably had 50 flights. Like,
yeah.
I've
At
flown
this
a
point,
lot.
you're a veteran.
I got a medallion with Delta now, but like it took a while because it's kind of like if you've ever been driven somewhere multiple times, you don't pay attention to the drive and the path. But if you drive there twice, you got it. It was
Right.
like that. Someone was taking me, so I didn't really pay attention at all. And like there's a few steps, especially with the updated security in the United States.
Yeah, the
TSA.
check-in and the security and the luggage, like and like the things that you're just supposed to know, like which bags can fit in a plane and which bag can't, and gate check and stuff like that. You know,
that wasn't even
Do you think
international.
Wings could pass as a Spaniard? Because I got extras. You know, you can hook Wings up right
Your
there.
secret agent over there.
Well, the two of them are expired. One American, one Spanish, and I had to
They don't
re-up.
put holes in it when it's expired?
No, they do.
okay.
It's cut right.
All right. I have a topic for you guys. Woody, you have any topics? Can I try something?
Go for it.
Worst TV series ending.
Oh, I feel like
Dexter comes to mind.
Lost?
Is that bad?
no, I don't say Lost, and I'm the only
Oh.
person here that's gonna say I like the
Yeah,
entire
Lost was
series.
awful. Lost
I don't
was
think
so
the
bad.
ending
You gotta
was
have a
bad,
good show
though.
to have a bad ending.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go. I'll agree with what Kyle said more because the ending, you can say
Yeah.
whatever you want.
The
It did
ending was
wrap up.
about.
It
The ending
wrapped
was
it up.
par
It
for the
didn't.
course, you
It-
cocksucking writers. You suck so much dick. Those first writers the first writers that were there before the writer's strike, those guys had a plan. They were a team.
Yeah.
They knew what that polar bear was about. They knew what Walt was doing on the island. They knew Walt was going to be an alien or a warlock or something before he hit puberty and grew 6 feet tall. They couldn't work that in. If you're
And the
a smart
island giving
writer,
gifts and shit, right? The island gave gifts. You need a guitar, bam, there's a guitar. You need a polar bear.
let me
that
tell you
monster
why I'm a better writer than the people they replaced the writers with after the strike. Here's something that happened on the show. Walt, the young black kid,
Yeah.
was obviously supposed to have a pivotal role in the story. However, the character, the actor who played him,
Yep.
hit puberty super fucking hard and like shot up like 6 feet tall, like
Yeah.
overnight. Why couldn't we make that some time travel shit?
Everyone fixate
Why
on Walt.
couldn't Walt get sucked into a fucking time portal or like into an alternate little zone where like time moves faster? Like
Or the same vortex that took the plane.
I've never
Yeah,
understood why everyone,
anything.
when they judge it, they
You-
fixate on Walt so bad. Like, this guy was amazing. Like,
the
okay,
reason-
plenty of magical shit happened during the course of the show, besides the kid who could think something and it would come up.
No, the reason why is because they were served a problem, and instead of turning a problem into an opportunity, they left it a problem, and the show suffered for it.
There's
they
another
should've-
storyline. The whole island, whole thing only happened in Hurley's head because he was in an insane asylum, right? Insane asylum.
No
And
one
then
believes
suddenly that was just never revisited. Fuck it.
No, that was they debunked that.
Yeah.
That was written out of the show.
So
How did they-
it was a better ending.
I mean,
than
they
Sopranos?
proved he wasn't crazy, and none of it was in his head anymore. Like at the end of that episode.
Sopranos ending.
They
So
like
the
it.
Sopranos ending was not what I wanted, and we've discussed here like my idea for the alternate ending and some others that we've put forward. It wasn't what I wanted, but it definitely was an ending, and it sort of played back to that episode where Tony and Bobby were in the boat on the lake at Bobby's lake house,
Yeah.
and they're talking about what it's like when you get shot, and they're like, I guess everything just goes black and it's over. You know, it's just me there and then black, and that's what I think happened. I think somebody walked in and shot Tony, and since Tony is the show, you know, when Tony everything goes black for us too. And while I don't like that, while that doesn't like get me excited, and it like the end of Breaking Bad did, I was like, yeah, fuck them all, Walt, get it done. You know, as much as,
That was a
and
great
I wanted.
ending.
That was a pretty good ending. That really sewed everything up nicely.
Yeah.
It was it was realistic while at the same, it sold everything up nicely. It was a good ending. The Sopranos ending didn't feel that great to me. I wanted, Tony had his money over there with the
I
Russians.
wanted
And
a
it was
Scarface
also,
ending.
you ever see the Pine Barrens episode where they march the Russian guy out in the wilderness and they try to kill him, but he turns things around and then their car gets stolen, and that guy was like ex-fucking KGB. He was friends with like Tony's Russian contact, where Tony keeps all of his money overseas. You totally could have done a whole nother season of that show.
That's true.
Where Tony goes to Russia to get his money. That guy shows up, and there's a whole conflict in Russia with Tony, and he's trying to get like Italian connections to give him power.
Wow.
Russian mob versus Italian mob. They're fighting it off. They're fighting each other. They've got Tony's money. Maybe Tony like kidnaps the Russian mob guy's daughter. Like, you totally could have had like there, but instead it went to black. Like,
it fizzled to me. It's a fizzle.
it was a fizzle. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a worse ending. What was the cowboy movie on HBO? Kyle, like
Deadwood?
Yeah, I think it was Deadwood.
Yes.
Never watched that.
Oh.
That was
I enjoyed
victim.
that series. I didn't like the ending either.
It didn't end like what? They just end the show and they didn't tell anyone. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, it's like so sudden and stupid.
Am
Am I the only one who liked Dexter's ending?
I thought it was
From what I
okay.
read about it, I thought it was lame. But I
thought
haven't
it was
watched
okay.
it.
I liked it.
You see him at the end, like, he's still the same guy. He's just somewhere else. I didn't have a problem with that. Like, I didn't like that whole idea of him having those. I didn't like him having those kids and taking care of them. Like, once his wife died, I wanted those kids to honestly die as well. like they could get cut out of that whole thing. Like, they could just go to
They weren't
like
even that old, right? Barely people.
Yeah, they're barely people so young. And then his kid, and he was tied down by that. I didn't like all that. I wanted that to be gone. And so, like, shit, I'd watch Dexter 2.0, where he's up in fucking Alaska smoking people. Like,
doing the same thing.
Yeah, same shit, different state. Like, I had no problem with that ending. I actually kind of liked it. I didn't want him to kill himself in the waves. I certainly didn't want that ending.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to get caught. And there's no way he can continue in Miami. So it's either go to South America and play house, or go to Alaska and play serial killer.
You'd see a black guy in a lumberjack going, "Surprise, motherfucker!"
But Deadwood, the thing with Deadwood is, like, those were great characters, great actors playing them, and they appeared to have a budget because that town looked legit. It looked as legit as any Western movie, and it was gory and bloody, and you never knew when somebody might get their throat slit. Yep. And they kept building that thing up at the end. You had that, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was super wealthy, especially for his time, a millionaire in those days. And you had him bringing in his, like, hired guns, and you had, like, all the townspeople getting together, people who are normally enemies are like, we got to get together. We got to do something about this guy. And you had the opposing forces, and that guy had taken the hammer to the guy's hand, and, like, you don't fucking hit his hand. He's going to fuck your shit up, bro. And, like, I wanted that. I wanted that rich cocksucker to end up, like, beaten half to death, and somebody's like, "This is dead wood. It don't matter." And slit his throat right there, cut his tongue out, fucking do whatever they're gonna do to him. Give him to the Indians, let them eat him. I don't care. But instead, like, I feel like they just kind of like got on their stagecoach and went, "Well, we'll be leaving now." Reckon so. And that was the end. That was the end. It was what the hell? I was just like, it wasn't like my heart was ripped out. It wasn't like I was disappointed. I was just like, well, why didn't somebody tell me that was going to happen before I got this far in? Like, I've loved this shit up until that.
I was pretty disappointed with the ending of Weeds. I thought it was
liked it.
Woody really likes it. I thought it was too happy-go-lucky, a nice little bow on it, and I was disappointed she didn't hook up with the brother-in-law.
I felt like they tied up every loose end. It's one of the things I want in an ending. I want them to answer all my questions, and in Weeds they did.
Yeah.
You knew how everyone worked out.
I know how Kyle feels about this, but Seinfeld.
Good.
Very bad.
Good
It's
ending.
the worst.
Very bad ending.
Very bad ending.
Yeah, pretty horrible.
I liked what they were trying to do, where they were, it was sort of a celebration of Seinfeld with all the characters coming back. I like that
Reminiscing
idea.
how horrible these people were.
I feel like it could have been executed better, though.
the premise alone. All right, let's videotape this guy getting robbed or whatever, and that's illegal.
What if this was the ending of Seinfeld? And this is just like off the top of my head. What if they make it appear to the audience that George has been murdered, and
Gosh.
and they're putting someone on trial for George's murder? Let's say it's Newman, and so then they have to bring all these character witnesses in, because they're all
gosh.
interconnected. These people know George, they know Newman, they know how they're all connected, and so you get to bring all those characters in like clearly they wanted to do. And at the end, George has been faking his own death as some sort of one of his stupid scams, to like get out of paying some taxes or something. And then they like you could have done something like that. I don't know. Like I just didn't like that whole like Good Samaritan law bullshit. You
That's
couldn't get.
bullshit.
And why do they keep hiring that Johnny Cochran guy?
I don't know. He was so annoying.
And I don't know why he keeps representing them after the way they fucked him over so many times.
Well, they had to do that black quota somehow. So.
Who told you to put the bomb on? Nobody told you to put the bomb on.
Oh, this is so bad. Oh, it's horrible.
I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen way too much TV. I feel like I'm a product of it at this point. God knows how many hours, right? Because I can quote all these shows. I've seen every episode of just about everything we've discussed except for Weeds. Like we haven't mentioned a TV show that I haven't seen every episode of except for Weeds. I've seen 2 seasons of that. And I didn't like it when she banged that guy on the hood of her car. She kind of like. I don't know. She was
That's when
slutty to me then, and I didn't like her.
She bangs a lot of people through that show.
She does hit. Yeah, she hits a lot. But it was like she was the suburban mom, but she was still precious in some way, right? She was that guy's ex-wife. She was like a person who
like
was
it
in
was
a rough.
Nah, she broke bad.
No, I feel like it was. I feel like I would have liked her character more if she could have found a better way to handle that situation. Really, the only thing you can come up with is to fuck the guy. Like you couldn't come up with a way to like squeeze him or put the cops on him or like physically go after him. You couldn't like run him over with a car. You couldn't like take it up a notch. You had to fuck him in the alley. Like I didn't like
that.
that.
Bothered you? Then watch the other seasons because
I'll pass.
she breaks bad.
I don't remember that. To me, that was her lowest point.
None of that shit bothered me. I don't know.
I didn't care for that.
I enjoyed Weeds. It was a hell of a ride.
Interesting.
But the ending was too happy-go-lucky. I like when there's
you're-
questions
You're one of
left
those
over.
dark dudes.
No, I just like when there's questions left over, or you can interpret it a little
But
bit.
why? I need closure.
Breaking Bad wasn't completely wrapped up at the end. Fucking
Sure
Jesse
it was.
drove off. Jesse,
yeah.
you have no idea what Jesse's doing.
I don't care what Jesse's
Jesse's
doing.
being
I
a loser
hated
somewhere
Jesse.
else.
I hated Jesse.
Kyle really hates Jesse.
So do
hate
I.
Jesse.
He ruined that for me, man.
Yeah,
I
Walt
like
should
Jesse.
have poisoned Jesse a long time ago.
Wasted arsenic on the wrong person.
It's
Yeah.
all he had.
Ricin.
All he had was Jesse.
Bryson, sorry, yeah.
Can someone? I don't know that I fully explain why he poisoned the kid. Why did Walt poison
To
the
get Jesse to think that the black guy that had the chicken place
Was a bad-
poisoned Jesse or poisoned the kid. So
Yeah.
Jesse was supposed to go with Walt and kill the black guy, and his name is totally escaping me, and I used to know it so well. But that was it. He
Spanish-
It's a
basically set.
Spanish name? Yeah,
Yeah.
Roberto.
He basically set up he set it up to make it look like the black guy poisoned.
Spanish.
Child.
Eh.
Now, how did Jesse figure out that it was actually Walt?
Yes.
I think he told him.
No, he didn't
I'm
tell
trying to
him.
remember. He didn't tell him. He told him that he killed the. He basically told him that he watched the girl die, and that's what made Jesse snap at the end. How did he find out again? He finds out.
Jesse was a pussy.
Jesse was a real bitch, and when Jesse lost me 100% when he started
When he used to
throwing
give
that
the money
away.
away.
Throwing the money
Let me
out
tell you
the
this.
car window.
The best way for a show to almost lose me and piss me off, and the best way for a character to like poison a character to me is have them to like burn or throw away money. Did you ever watch the Shield? There's the Shield is about cops in L.A. It's
Yeah.
got syphilis in it, and it's
Starring
very good.
the
In my,
Thing.
Sorry, The Thing. It's
Yeah.
very good in my opinion. There's like 7 or 8 seasons. I just watched them all for the second time recently,
Wow.
and there's basically they're kind of they are dirty cops, and they rip off this Armenian mob money train, and they got like I don't know $3 million, $4 million, something like that. And there's a lot of heat on them. The Armenians want this money back. The U.S. Treasury Department is kind of tracking some of the money they got spent accidentally because they're keeping this money under lock and key. They don't want to spend the money for like years until the heat's off. But so one of the guys can't take the heat anymore, and he literally, like when they're going to move the money for safety, he takes off in the van, like before, and like runs away from the other three. He goes and burns all but like 250,000 of it. He's throwing it in an incinerator, just fucking burning it. And I mean, suitcases of money, like what? He burnt $4 million.
Walt threw his money in the water.
Threw his money in the water.
In season 2.
Did he?
Oh no! Jesse threw his money in the water.
Jesse threw his
like
money
Walt
in the
throwing anything
neighborhood. He was throwing it everywhere.
No, I know
burning
that
it.
too.
Like,
Yeah. Gustavo Fring, by the way. Gus Fring.
yeah, you go.
Nice.
Boom. Remembered it.
Yeah, I didn't like Jesse. I never liked Jesse, and I didn't see why Walt needed Jesse past like the second season anyway.
Because he needed a companion. It's all he had. He couldn't talk to anyone else. You saw how his bitch son reacted to the whole fucking
And his
situation.
bitch wife.
You want to talk about a character that's shitty? That kid is a fucking cunt.
That guy's family is
I
not
He didn't
worth
appreciate shit.
Dude, he calls
That's
him
your
up and he tells him
family.
to fuck off, basically.
Oh.
He's a
Yeah,
piece of
that
shit.
guy's Walt's family were all shit. Walt was the. And I loved Walt. I wanted
Yeah,
Walt
I
to
know.
succeed in all things that he was doing. Walt didn't go wrong in my eyes. Walt was trying to make some shit happen. All right.
If I was on a jury, I would let him go scot-free.
bingo.
Sorry.
Hey, there's
So
no
when-
witnesses anyway.
So when that cunt of a wife, like, can't handle a little, can't handle it when the brother-in-law just is gone now. It's not like Walt killed him. The fucking white supremacists killed him.
Yep.
Well,
Great episode, by the way.
kind of his fault,
It was kind of his fault, but
But
it
Jesse
was
shouldn't
the
have flipped on
brother-in-law's.
him. Jesse shouldn't have flipped on him. If Jesse didn't flip, Hank would not have been tailing him that whole time.
I didn't like. I hated Hank. I
That
was
was a
glad when
great
he
episode.
died.
That's one of the best episodes of television. Is the
That was a great
Ozymandias
episode,
episode where so much shit gets unraveled. That was
Yeah.
a great episode.
I was
Yeah,
glad
that was a
when
great
Hank
episode.
died. I was glad when Jesse was in that hole and they killed his girlfriend.
Agreed.
All those things were just 100% fine with me. I liked that creepy kid who was like torturing Jesse, the blonde guy whose uncles were the white supremacists or
Damon.
whatever.
Yeah.
He was a pretty
Yeah.
cool guy. Walt should have hooked up with that kid. That kid. You get Walt and that kid?
Oh, it would have been
Can't
over.
Stop that team. You
But
can't stop
Jesse
that
seemed
team.
more trustworthy, right? Didn't Jesse have a better
oh my
allegiance to Walt?
yeah.
100%. And stable. No drug problems. He smoked cigarettes. That was it. Like,
Yep.
that
That's a
guy
good
had his
music
head on
kid.
his shoulders.
He
He
just
didn't-
Jesse was
didn't
the high school loser.
And he was like down to do anything. He shot that little kid that time. That was pretty horrible. But they corrected him right away.
Work's
To
gotta get
Hey,
done.
we don't shoot kids.
that was
All
bad.
right? We don't do that. And he didn't shoot any more kids after that. I don't think.
We don't know. He might have killed a couple more kids.
I mean, everyone needs a hobby, but I mean,
I didn't see him
professionally,
killing
he
kids. He's good with me.
Just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
And we've already established they are on the low end of the bell curve. I mean, that kid had to go. They were stealing all those chemicals out of that train. He had to go. He had to
Kyle,
go.
you say you watch like almost every TV show. You ever watch like foreign stuff? You ever watch a show from the BBC called Luther?
No.
That just
Is it
doesn't
about
look
Martin
appealing.
Luther?
Is
It's
it about
with
a chef?
Idris Elba,
Oh.
the black guy. You
That
have
black
to
guy
watch-
in it is the black guy from Pacific Rim.
Yes, if you watch it, I will guarantee you will love this show called Luther if you watch it. Trust me.
Okay.
on this.
Check it out.
It is insanely good.
Keep saying watch Blacklist.
How we got to
Got
start?
the-
Huh?
Keep saying watch Blacklist, man. Blacklist is a great show.
Blacklist?
Blacklist, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
heard of Black
First
Mirror?
season on Netflix. Really good.
Black Mirror. Have you heard of that one?
Rings a bell.
It's
I have
like
no
a
idea what
Twilight
it's about.
Zone. It's like
Uh-huh.
a Twilight Zone.
Huh.
Very cool, high ratings. But yeah, Luther, you will love that show. Trust me on this one. It's-
Yeah, I've seen like, I haven't seen any of the show, but I've like seen the poster for it or whatever you want to call it. Like I've seen it on like my Amazon thing or whatever. I just never checked it out. I'll check it out. How many seasons are there?
3, and it's
Cool.
disappointing.
That's about right. Oh,
Yeah.
does it finish at 3?
Yeah.
Or is there more to
It
go?
actually finished at 2 because that's where his movie career took off, and he stopped his movie career to do another season because he loved doing the show so much.
Okay.
But it's
Well, I'll
like-
watch the first two.
Yeah,
you know
it's really
that
cool.
kind of happened. Some shows should just stop when that happens. Like I
On a
loved
high note.
the first Spartacus was very good, and the second Spartacus, where they did a prequel to kind of try to let him recover from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, maybe.
Yeah, I think
I think
It was okay.
that was it was a step down, but it was
Yeah.
still a very good show because the first season was so good. After that, when the guy passed away and like it really went downhill.
I started rooting for the Romans. Like, kill the gladiators, get them, please murder them.
I think I actually maybe watched the third season. Was the third season the one where like they revolt and kill Lucy Lawless and the Domina and Dom? So
Domino.
okay, the third season was okay. I was, but after that, it definitely lost.
Yeah, when they
They
started
started
taking
going to the
on
gym more.
all the
They
Romans.
put enough Lucy Lawless titties in that third season to keep me hooked. I was good with that. Xena was naked all the time, talking about ass fucking and stuff. That was a great movie.
Girl and girl
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't beat that.